Clear? Now, because of the human impact, the concentration of CO2 is exceeded, the concentration of CH4 is exceeded, the concentration of water vapor or the other greenhouse gases has phenomenally increased, and we have disturbed what? That natural heating and cooling. And now we are actually witnessing what? The global warming, the increased temperature we are observing. It's because of our sins. Yes, I used to say in this way, it's because of our sins. CO2, CH4 and water vapor and the other, for example, ozone, for example, these oxides of sulfur, for example, chlorofluorocarbon, their concentration has been increased, and because of that, we have what? Warming. The temperature, atmospheric temperature is increased phenomenally. Okay, okay. So, like the atmosphere, it will going to uh, radiate heat back in order to maintain what? In order to maintain the thermal balance on the Earth's surface. Surface should not become more warm nor cool. Both condition is actually being controlled by this activity, insolation and this long wave radiation. Okay, clear? So it's because of this long wave radiation, it's because of this short wave radiation, there is what? Ecosystem which is working on our Earth surface. Otherwise, there might be a freezing condition during the night, during the winter specifically, all around the Earth's surface, specifically in the mid latitude as well. In polar region, we have a freeze condition, but we could have a same condition with respect to the mid latitude regions as well. Right? So this is how we have what? Cooling of our Earth surface. And I hope you have a clarity with respect to the idea of global warming. Here you can see one more thing. Here you can see one more thing. See, with respect to the natural greenhouse, here you can see we have a sun, we have a solar radiation. Earth used to warm. When Earth used to warm, it used to get cooler in order to maintain the thermal equilibrium as per the law of thermodynamics. It is going to release what? Long wave radiation. And as there is a CH4, here we have a oxides of nitrogen or nitrous oxide. They will going to trap it, and when they will going to trap it, they will going to re-radiate it. So the energy, when it is re-radiated in the atmosphere, that result would be what? The temperature will be increased. This is the normal condition. So because of the human sins, because of the human or anthropogenic impacts, anthropogenic reasons, what is happening? CO2, CH4, this nitrous oxide, their concentration has been increased phenomenally, and because of this, what happens? That they will going to trap this long wave radiation. The net result is what? The temperature would be going to phenomenally high, and this we used to refer as what? Greenhouse. As because of this, what is happening? Because of this more GHG gases, greenhouse gases, there is a less escaping of energy into the space. Earth used to get cool, the surface used to get cool, but the atmosphere is not getting. It's because the same energy is re-radiated, directed in the atmosphere itself, releasing of temperature, or the energy would be there, increase in the temperature or increase in the temperature would be there. Here we have a what? Equilibrium kind of. Here is because of the human modification, we have changed the natural equation in global warming context. Okay, moving ahead. Okay, you might have heard of one term, that is albedo. Now, the meaning of albedo is the reflectivity of surface. I just told you that based on the surface characteristics, based on the surface characteristics, suppose we have a vegetation, suppose we have a grasses, suppose we have an agriculture field where we have a scattered grasses and we have some sort of short trees. We could have a concrete roads, or let's say buildings. Now all of them will have a different set of reflectors. Means this tree which is there, when we have an incoming solar radiation, partly absorption and majority of the part will be reflected. the same insolation, okay, the same insolation will be what? Reflect. If we have a incoming solar radiation when it is there on the grass, so grasses will going to reflect them. However, some part would be absorbed. Similarly here, if we have a same thing, have a reflection, some part will be. And if we have a concrete surface, asphalt surface, what will happen? We'll have what? This absorption. There is absorption. However, some sort of energy would be reflected. This reflection ability, or how shiny surface is being termed as what? Albedo. So when the fraction of incoming solar radiation is reflected back by the surface, and it is reflected back by the surface, and we have to see that how much solar radiation a surface reflects, how much solar radiation, how much incoming solar radiation, how much insolation a surface does reflect. That is being termed as what? Albedo, reflectivity. When we have a 0, that means perfect absorption, and when we have a 1, that means perfect reflection. Different surfaces have different set of albedo. Different surfaces will have what? Different or let's say varying albedos. For example, you will see high albedo with respect to snow, ice and desert. If you have seen Google Maps, especially with respect to the Google Earth, might have seen world map, or let's say that globe in Google Earth. And when you see Google Earth, you will see that desert is bit shiny, and where you see the ice or glaciers, they are also what? Bit shiny. It means what? That there we have a sunlight, and that sunlight is reflected, and the satellite which is placed in the orbit, that satellite has sensed that light, that it is reflected from ice, it is reflected from desert, and accordingly we have what? Picture. Remote sensing. The meaning of remote sensing is what? The meaning of remote sensing is, here we have a satellite. Suppose we have a, here we have what? A satellite, for example. So the satellite used to receive the reflected sunlight. Here we have a sunlight, for example, and suppose we have a snow. So from the snow, they will be reflected. And this satellite, there are sensors in the satellite, and those sensors will going to observe the received frequency, and based on the received frequency, they will say that okay, this is coming from the ice, this is coming from the vegetation, this is coming from grasses, this is coming from, let's say, tree or agricultural areas. That's how we used to observe the state of land degradation. That's how we used to observe the state of desertification on our Earth's surface. This is how we used to observe the land use change on our Earth's surface. Remote sensing, when you sense remotely, and that remotely sensing ability is coming from this way. Okay, so albedo is also having a same role. So if you see the atlas, if you see the Google Earth, you will see the shiny surfaces, those who are offering what? High reflectivity. They are actually reflecting the sunlight. There is no, or let's say there is very less absorption as compared to the other areas. Where you see black soil, the black soil will have a high absorption with respect to the reflection. Reflection will be very less, there will be high absorption. So low albedo would be forest and oceans. When we have a almost very low albedos, so very low albedos will be there with respect to the dense tropical equatorial forest. They will appear dark in Google Earth. Means they are absorbing more, they are reflecting less. Okay, so based on this ratio of absorption and reflection, we have what? Albedo. So it is the nature of surface itself. It is the nature of surface itself, that whether it will reflect more or absorb more, we used to term that as a albedo, the capacity or the strength of surface to reflect the sunlight. Ice will have a highest albedo, it will appear shiny even from space. Forest will have some sort of low albedo, and if you have a dense equatorial forest, they will have a less than that albedo. Means low albedo means more absorption, high albedo means less absorption, more reflect. Okay, so snow will have what? High albedo, means it will reflect more albedo. That's all in this session. In next session, we will be discussing about more aspects in continuation.